Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Tom.
And together we are Atomic Business Coaching.
Where our stories are your solutions.
I thought I'd throw you for a loop.
Oh, like, why is he asking me about color? My favorite season. Listen, we have a lot of fun. No, I love the fall, man. I love the fall because of what it represents. And I said this yesterday on my radio show. I was like,
I like the spring, by the way, better.
The fall is an opportunity where you see beauty in death and what's dying off. And it's like anything else in life. It's a season of transition where we have to let go of the things that no longer serve us, that really need to be sloughed off. You know, like our skin, right? Our skin sloughs off. We've got to get rid of that dust. We've got to clear the dust and start to take on new perspective and go into that winter hibernation as an opportunity to really percolate new ideas so that when the spring comes, we are ready for that new birth. Right.
I like the springtime.
Yeah. Because it's new birth.
It's all about growth, right?
Absolutely.
Growth. And it's usually you're reaping the rewards of all the hard work that you put in, right? For springtime, for all the flower, the bulbs that you planted, the seeds that you planted, the watering that you did, and it allows the opportunity not to grow, but to see the rewards of your prior hard work. So
yes,
here's an idea. Why don't today, I've had a lot of business owners talk about this. A lot of our clients, Tom, have been mentioning this to us as about growth, right? So it can go either way. So why don't we talk about to grow or not to grow?
I love it. That is the question, to grow or not to grow. There's a lot of benefits to growth, but there's a lot of times timing has to be right to grow at times. I think you have to really look at, is this the right time? Is this the right place? Do I have clarity on the direction that I want to head before I grow, right? To grow for the sake of growing is not healthy.
So when I look at our clients, when we meet them in the beginning, one of the things that we talk about, we have our who, what, when, where, why, how. In the what meeting, I talk to my business owners about what do they want to be? Do they want to be a legacy or a lifestyle business?
Yes.
Okay. Most people really don't understand the difference of those two, and partially because I've made my own definitions on some of them.
I like definitions of them, though.
Yeah, and when we look at the difference, the simplest way to say this is a legacy business is you're building the business. You don't care about what it rewards you, okay, as the business owner. You care that the business has this growth. And usually what that means is one day you're going to exit. You're going to sell the business for a profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll get it to a point where it generates enough revenue. You can step aside, hire a team in, and then you just generate some revenue off of that. But that's more my definition of a legacy business. A lifestyle business is the polar opposite. Everything you do in that business is so you as the business owner and your family can reap as much reward financially as possible, or freedom, or whatever it may be. So when we talk about to grow or not to grow, okay, that is a question that you usually have to determine, because if you're a lifestyle business and you have achieved everything you needed to sustain your lifestyle, you probably don't need to grow anymore. You need to maintain. Okay, you obviously have to outpace inflation and other things and keep the business sustainable, but there might not be a reason to grow it beyond that point. And everybody thinks, what's the purpose of getting into business? Well, produce more revenue. That's not it for some people. But if you don't define, are you a legacy or a lifestyle business, you will not understand, should I grow or shouldn't I grow?
It's a great point, because it is, as a coach, I mean, for me, it is a lifestyle business. It is something that I'm looking to just really maintain and sustain what I need to do. Of course, I'm going to, charge more as inflation goes up and as things change and my time changes and demand for my time changes. That's definitely something we do look at. And it really is about, it's a lifestyle, and it really is a choice. And that's, I think, one of the things that's important for people to recognize, that you can choose either or. And you're not necessarily, right, Adam, you're not stuck if you start out as a lifestyle business and you decide to pivot to a legacy business, right? We don't have to live there. We can make that change to a legacy business if you start out as a lifestyle business, or vice versa.
Right. It's not written in stone. It's a movable target that you can always switch and pivot and go back and forth. And this is why you have to reassess your business all the time. Right. And here's another key. Most people think, oh, lifestyle, it's my bills. No. I take multiple vacations. It's where I spend most of my discretionary income each year is on my vacations. It's the thing I enjoy to do. I don't like tangible items. I don't like to buy nonsense. I like experiences, right? So your lifestyle may be a $5 million a year lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And if all your business is to do is to sustain that $5 million lifestyle, as long as the business is doing that and it's sustaining it, then you don't need to grow beyond that unless your lifestyle says, well, now I want a $10 million lifestyle. And you could still be a lifestyle business. But what happens is when you are a legacy business, you will give up everything and anything for the business's growth. And that usually means your time, sometimes your sanity, even though it's not a clinical term we've learned recently.
Yes, but it's not. It's a legal one.
You will give up a lot to grow that business. And for me personally, I pivoted from a legacy to a lifestyle business when I had my second child. And I decided I have 2 children now. At that point, I had a 4-year-old and a baby. And I was not really involved as much as I wanted to be. And I decided that I'm going to be a lifestyle business so I could spend more time with the children. I had children to be a father, not just to have kids. And I really completely changed my business. And now it is more of a lifestyle business. I have 6 years left until I convert that to a legacy business, a part of them. So I already have plans to pivot those things back and forth. But your lifestyle could be just to sustain the current bills. I don't care if it's, you're fresh out of college and you're renting an apartment, you got a cell phone, a car, and you need to feed yourself. And that, is $60,000 a year. That's okay. But it also could be $6 million a year.
Yeah, and the amount of money that you're bringing into those business is so variable. It is, like you said, it could be 60,000, it could be 160,000, it could be 1.6 million. It's really going to depend on what it is that you're defining as a successful lifestyle for yourself. And I think that's when you ask those questions of what does success look like for you, and do you want it to be a lifestyle or a legacy business? That is what is going to give you the direction to determine whether or not growth is right for you. And that's what I think people need to go back to when they're deciding to grow their business is what is the purpose of the growth? How does it fit into the larger picture? I mean, what are some other steps that people should be, thinking about when they're deciding to grow or not to grow?
Well, first and foremost, what's the motivation for the growth, right? So is it purely just, I want more money? Well, that's okay. But what do you want the money for? And just wanting more money is fine. Okay. If we use money as a scorecard, okay? There are multi-billionaires out there. They don't need any more money. It basically becomes a scorecard to measure the value of what they're doing and the effort that they're putting in. So if the motivation is just more money, that's fine. But what's that money for? Is it a scorecard? Is it to change the world? Is it to make your family's life better? Is it to grow another business? Is it to whatever it may be? What is the motivation of why you want to grow? So I would start there.
I love the motivation. That makes a ton of sense. Because motivation is, you have to maintain that motivation. Then that's where people start to really struggle with, growth. And growth represents growing pains. And during growing pains, it's very difficult to sustain your motivation if you don't have the right intention, right? So one of the things I like to talk about is setting the intention, right? What is the motivation for that? What is the purpose of that growth? And that intention is key because as you go through growing periods, it is painful at times, and it's going to be painful. Like you said at the beginning, you plant those bulbs in the ground, you plant those seeds in the ground, and then through the winter, they get nourished by the ground and the soil, and then you start to water them in the spring, and you grow the beauty of all of that labor. Growth is work, and growth is pain, and growth is all of those things. And to sustain your motivation during that is really more of the challenge than the actual growth itself.
Yeah. And then on top of that, if your motivation is good and you recognize that, now you have to understand are you willing to take on more responsibility? Because with growth comes a lot more responsibility. You're going to have more employees. You're going to have more clients. Here's a key that I struggled with is when you have more clients, that means you can't pay attention and service the clients you have the same way any longer. So are you attached to what you're doing now, and do you love it? And can you sustain that as you grow? And if you can't, is your motivation aligned with what you actually want? And that's a lot of times is your potential for growth may be there, but does it align with what you want for yourself?
Absolutely. And, you're making me think about like a transition plan, right? As part of the transition, when we go through a growth period, it is a period of transition to something new, and we're going to develop new skills, and we're going to come out with new expectations, and we're going to have to reset a lot of expectations. And part of that growth is also getting ready for the change management piece of what that means for your business. And I always do this activity of start, stop, and continue as I make changes in my life and in my business. What do I want to start doing? What do I want to stop doing? And what am I going to continue to do? Because I think you have to understand going into that season of growth, what it is that you're going to continue that's not going to change. And then what is the opportunity to stop doing certain things? And what are the new things that you want to start as you grow into that new version of yourself, or you go into the new version of your business? You have to be able to sustain, you have to be able to understand what that change all looks like across the whole spectrum of what you're doing. So going into a season of growth, you have to be informed, right? You have to have the information that is going to pivot and change, because then the harder part about the growth is navigating your staff and your employees through that and understanding that change.
Well, and you have to be ready to grow too.
Correct.
Some people, I hear this often, right? I'm going to scale my business. I want to grow my business. They're very different definitions. Okay. Just like we talked about in a previous podcast about how to define an entrepreneur. Well, defining growth, people will use terms very willy-nilly, and they'll just say, I'm scaling my business. Oh, you are? How are you doing that? And they'll explain it. I'm like, that's not what scaling is. Growing and scaling, here's a very elementary description of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you grow, what you are doing is you are adding more resources, okay, at the same time as you are increasing your top line revenue. Okay. So that means resources could be people, could be money, could be time, could be energy, right? But you're adding more things to improve that top line revenue. When you are scaling, you are using your existing resources. You're not adding new ones to improve the top line revenue. That's how you scale a business. Okay. So are you ready for growth has to be the first decision. Like, are you ready to do that? And what type of growth? And then what is your motivation? And does it align with your long-term vision of what you're trying to accomplish? And are you a lifestyle legacy business? All these things need to come into play to determine grow or not to grow.
Okay. I like that definition. And one of the things that sit in me is that, when you think about growth, there's going to be investment. There's going to be a need to grow that top line revenue. You're going to need to bring more people in. There's a big investment in that. So if you don't have the means to make that investment in the business, then you may think about, maybe this is really a time to scale, right? How do I optimize my current situation to increase my top line revenue? That's how I'm seeing the difference. And part of answering the question is this the time to grow? Well, do I have the money to invest in that? What does that really mean? What is that really? In my old world, when I used to run medical practices, one of the things that I would do to grow the business would be to add specialties to that practice. But that increase in specialty was adding a doctor's salary, adding a medical assistant salary, adding a front desk salary, right? So that initial investment of $300,000 to $500,000 needed to yield me another $1 million in revenue and needed to be able to get there. And that was growth. Whereas scaling was saying, okay, how do I see more patients with the people that I have?
Exactly.
And that's a beautiful demonstration.
Yeah, most people don't get that, right? And they get mucked up, and you have to truly understand what you're talking about when you're talking about it, right? And you have to be able to define things for yourself and not just take what society is saying out there, because you hear a lot of this. I'm an entrepreneur. Oh, are you? I'm scaling my business. How?
What are you doing?
Like, that's not what you're doing. Right?
And you can't scale your business if it's just you. You can't do that. It's impossible.
Literally, it's impossible. So this is, it's a decent topic. So what else do you have on this topic? Anything else?
No, I really enjoyed this. This is really, and I think it's an important thing for people to really understand about the difference, because they do throw these terms around so loosely. We do, I'm going to grow, I'm going to scale. And we help people to do both. I think that's something that I want our listeners to understand is that when we're working with our clients, we are looking for, is this the right time to grow? Is this a growth opportunity for you? Or is this a scaling opportunity for you? And what is the best? And I think it's a very important point to consider the distinction between the two. But the end result will be the same, is that your top line revenue should increase at the end of the day. And whichever approach you take to it, it's just a model. It's just a way of approaching it. Obviously, the growth model is going to cost you a little bit more, but the scaling model is going to cost you more in time, in people's time, or trying to get the effectiveness out of those people's time and make sure that you're optimizing what they can do. So there is an investment, and that's what I think people need to understand, is you're investing something in both situations.
Yeah.
One is going to be heavier in money. One is going to be heavier in time or effort or effectiveness. And that's what the investment is there. And I think that's what people need to understand and take away from this.
Absolutely. And it's cyclical. So you can grow in order to scale one day. And then when you scale, you can scale up so you can take that capital and invest it to grow one day. It's a cycle. There's no I'm just going to scale my business forever. Well, you may hit a ceiling where you're not okay, we did, but now we need to take some of that money so we can grow.
Right.
And then when you grow it so much, you could be like, hey, we got new resources, new systems, everything's here. Now, how do we take that and scale it? So it is a cycle that you go through over and over and over again.
Awesome.
It's fun. This is another good one, another good topic. Yeah. Definitely a good time to be talking about growth with what we're at. And now I learned that you like fall and I like spring.
Yeah, look at that. See, we always learn something about each other, Adam. It's great, but both seasons are huge seasons of transition, and that's what binds us. Winter is a dead season. Summer is a dead season. Yeah. It's the transition seasons. I'm not surprised that we both like transition seasons. That's what we do. That's who we are. It's the core of who we are together. But that was an awesome topic. So I think it's a great thing. And if you're, listening to us and you want to figure out what it is that you want to do next, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Definitely follow us at Atomic Business Coaching on Instagram. That's at Atomic Business Coaching on Instagram. And we're happy to set up a call and see how we can work together to help you.
All right. See you next time.
Next time, brother. Be well.